Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be continuing seeing this with rolling line, and we're going to take a look at how to do elevation changes. Now there's a couple different ways we can go about this, and I'm going to kind of show you one of the methods, and of course, like I said, there's a million other little techniques that you could use. So we have our whole setup that we used from last time. Like I said, it's not the world's most sophisticated setup. This curve makes me a little insane due to its lack of symmetry, but oh well. So what I want to do is I want to take one of these and I want to go ahead and do some fanciness here. I want this line here to go ahead and merge and become connected to this after crossing a terrain feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over here real quick, apply all changes. I'll go ahead and close this out. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw down an obstacle just to make things a little bit interesting for us. So let's go into terrain. I'm not an expert in terrain, and we had this little kind of green thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slap it in the middle of the table. Again, why would you put this in the middle of the table? Because I can. Haha. And we'll put a little bit of size on it like that. Go ahead and just like that. And that's exactly what I want. So now notice if I grab a piece of track right now, I can't actually, oh, sorry, yes I can. I can't edit my existing track, which is something that I wanted because I like the way it is. I just want to add more track. If you ever need to go back, you can go back to bulk editing and hit all track mode. And now we can actually come back here and edit it. But like I said, the apply all changes button really is your friend. All right, let's go ahead and do this. So when you're doing elevation changes, there's a couple things that I've kind of, first of all, they're tricky to do. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing is, I'm taking a look at this and it's making me slightly crazy here. All right, I got to change it. Too crazy, too crazy. I'll go ahead and merge you guys. Let's use a Y here to kind of merge them into one. Is there any of these Ys that I actually like? Just sort of one of those things. Y! Oh my gosh, can we reduce? Okay, that aspect of it I can't really change. Actually, yes I can. I can make that a little bit smaller. It doesn't have to be huge. There we go. And we'll reduce the angle substantially here. Good enough. Like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to kind of work. I'm going to put you... see, if you do something like that, you're not going to have... we're not going to be able to connect that smoothly. But remember, we're basically going to take this, and we're going to make this going around a corner in a minute anyway. Yeah, it's got way too much to it. So let's go ahead and pick a different component for that. Let's see here. We can do the X. This is really what I want, but that one's a triple. I don't want anything that complicated. We'd probably go with a basic turnout here. Yeah, that's not too bad either. This is the decision-making part. We could also just do one of these and kind of combine it into one. Yeah, see, there's an inherent bias to this one, but I'm okay with that. The problem here is you'll notice that I don't really have a lot of room to go ahead and connect that one. So what I'll actually do is I'll pull this off the table, drop it here, and then what I'll do is add a teeny tiny extension onto this one. Grab this one again, and then I can stick this on, and now I have a little bit more room to kind of be... Oop, I have a little bit more room to behave here. See, I've got that. Then what I can do is use my little gap filler track, toss it right there, and shunk, stick it right in there, delete. Okay, so whenever you're doing elevation changes, actually this thing's going to be way too high for our purposes, but oh well. One thing you got to remember is you can't do elevation changes directly on this. I know some of you are probably, well, we could use the F key and make it bigger. Yes, but you can't do that by side, so that would be very, very irritating. Another thing worth noting is that you have to be kind of gentle with the elevation changes, and remember that you've always got that gap tool to kind of fill in any goof that you may have performed, kind of a thing like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a really, really gentle elevation change. And whenever I do this, I always try to do this in little chunks. It's just safer. So once we place our track as normal, we're going to go ahead and roll the mouse button. And what that does is it starts to put an angle. Unfortunately, there's no little display in the side of the screen that's like, this is a 4% incline or something like that. So you're going to have to kind of use your eyeball a little bit for this. Remember, they're model trains. They can go ripping up these things. You don't have to worry about it too much. Once you've gotten the elevation where you want it, you just release the mouse. And what it will do is it'll actually start its own natural curve upwards. Now, as before, we're actually going to move that thing real quickly here. Edit terrain. Are you considered terrain? Yeah, how you doing there? Much better. So now that if I grab this piece right here, I can go ahead and slap another one. Notice it keeps the gradient. So, if I went to go steeper, I could roll the mouse up. If I went to go shallower, I could roll the mouse back down. If I hold Alt and left mouse there, I could go ahead and reset the gradient completely, but this is perfectly fine the way I want it. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's grab another slice here, and it's looking pretty good so far. I don't know if I'll be able to get away with this, but I'll go ahead and take a look at it. That looks pretty garbage. Let's move this over just a little bit. Hey, see, now it's a feature. So now we'll go up a little bit higher here, and we'll actually execute a bit of a turn here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab myself a nice gradual turn. Gotta go ahead and do one of these things. Notice as it keeps the gradient here, so I'm gonna make the gradient. It's a really tall turn, so I'm actually gonna reduce the gradient a little bit. You gotta be careful when you reduce the gradient because you get these little unbumps that look really, really unsightly. You'll know what I mean the first time you do it. Let's grab ourselves a little bit sharper version of that track. It's pretty tight. Can I make this 90? Let's see, 45. Let's make it a 90-degree angle. Right turn. Actually, we don't need a 90-degree angle. Even that's a little extreme for us. I'll do 35. Let's also make it a slightly tighter radius here. That looks better. Cool. Come up here, park that one. And again, all we're doing is taking a turn here, and we're going to try to kind of straighten out and finish up that turn. So grab this. Again, you can come underneath, and you can see exactly what's going on with your radius. I'm actually just going to reduce it just a teeny tiny bit. And it looks like I've used just a little bit too much there. So I'm actually going to go ahead and destroy that. And I'm going to back out on the angle a little bit, just in order to make that a slightly more broad turn. Nope, I need a lot more than that. So let's make it like a, I don't know, 20 degrees. Increase its radius a little bit too. Why not? Hey, now we're cooking with gas. Look at that. Sweet. So now we can start making our way down. Of course, as you're looking here, if I have a train go underneath this, that would cause a bit of an accident. So that would not be worthwhile. Now, let's say you're doing this and you realize what I just did. Ah, shoot. Let's go ahead and right-click a bunch of times, make a little pile of all the pieces. And then you can come back to where you started the problem, and you can go ahead and correct that. So I'll go ahead and break that off, stick it back on. Make the gradient just a tiny bit steeper here. Yeah, that's a pretty mean gradient here. You can make roller coasters, by the way, if you're so inclined. So let's go ahead and get this turn going here. And make it nice and high. There it goes. Whoa! That's got some height to it now. There we go. I think that was enough that time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You know, let's go get a train and kind of use it as our little tester sort of a thing to see if we're at the right height there. Simple strategy. All right, it's going to hold down the right click right there. Wrong right click. All right, put you right there. Grab you. Or you just do it twice in a row. I mean, you can do it either way you want. Left click, and we'll put it right there. We'll go ahead and get rid of this one. All right, it passes the test. There we're doing here. We can go underneath again. See how it starts to put that kind of uncurve into it? And now we can go ahead and clean up our curve around the corner here. And then if we need to, we could even start working our way back down. So if I grab that, notice how it's absorbed a little bit of that corner right there. Let's grab one of our nice sharp pieces that we had before. And we'll start making a pretty serious descent here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's grab another copy of that. Chuck it on there, and you can see that we've got ourselves, we're coming on down. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to, we could do one of these and basically fall off the earth. I wouldn't do that, though. I just kind of do one of those. And even that looks like it's going to be a little bit on the steep side. But you can see how you really, really got to plan things like curves way in advance if that's something that you're going to be trying to do a lot of. So like you can see my little curve probably should have gone straight and then turned kind of a thing because I don't really have a lot of room here to work. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And like I said, you'll be running into the same kind of decisions all the time. So let me grab myself another straight piece. And I'm actually going to do a very tight, dangerous death curve here in order to make it a little bit tighter. Give me a 45, very low radius here. All right, make a copy. There we go. There we go. Sweet. All right, my calculations are complete. We don't have to worry about him anymore. So I'm actually going to break that off real quick. Pick it up. Right click. Go ahead and get rid of it. I like this. The only difference is I'm going to stick it back on, and I'm going to knock some of the climb out of it here. There we go. Grab this one again. There we go. Hey, not bad. So let's go ahead and take this. I'll remove it one more time. And again, just rolling the mouse to kind of play with the curve here. And now I've got myself this nice gradual descent, which we're going to go ahead and connect into a Y in a second. Grab that sucker right there. I think we've overdone it. And now we have the hardest part, which is deciding how high you need to be in order to line up with everything that you've just come down. And unfortunately, we can't like super duper carefully roll our heads down here in order to see this. One strategy that I found that worked really, really, really well for me is to grab this, hit the F7 key, so you have a duplicate. And then you can place another copy of it like this. And then you could use the Connecto tool, basically, to get the two to sync back up. Obviously, this one's a little too close for this, so I'm actually just going to put it over here. And now I'll use the Gap Filler tool to go ahead and fill that sucker in real quick. Gap Filler, what a great tool. Just like that. Now, if you run into a situation like you have here, where it dives underneath the table, I mean, like it's kind of kind of neat. It just means that we put too much angle on it before we went ahead and did the deed here. So I'm going to grab this, whoop, right click and pull it right off the table. We'll go ahead and put this in my pocket. Grab this guy again. We're just going to go ahead and right click him too. And we're just going to we're going to go ahead and place it, but we're going to make this a lot higher like this. There we go. Go and grab that. Grab my gap filler. Oh yeah. So you can see that we now have ourselves this little jumping over the obstacle kind of thing, coming back down again. Now, if we want to make that part of the rest of the track, we do have a couple options for that now, including ones that do have the kind of curved capabilities. Let's see here. Where's the one that's got that really nice curve to it? I think we're going to actually come over here. There we go. I don't think this is going to be the correct angle. What we can do now is we can grab this, and we can basically flip it the other way. Let's go ahead and put this down. If we put it right here, it's got to be the same angle. I believe we did 22.5 degrees. Remember that back in the day? 22 and a half. And I believe they were radius 6. I'm not 100% sure. We'd have to go ahead and kind of get 22 and a half. That way we can be nice and safe for all of our angles here. And that looks pretty good. I don't remember what radius we used, though. That's the only problem I'm a little nervous about. It's okay, though. We'll make it work. Oh, helps if you don't accidentally delete it when you're walking over there. So let's go ahead and pop this here. We can go ahead and delete this section of the track. We're going to stick this one in. And I can already see the mistake I made. You can see that this is the classic case of the whole thing's backwards. What you're really doing is that. But unfortunately, if I hold down the shift key, let's see, is that going to work? Yeah, that's going to work. The only problem is you can see our angle was a little bit greater than that. So unfortunately, that made us a bit on the long side. So we're going to have to come back here. Come over here again. We're going to reduce the radius to 6. Actually, I want to drop this. I want to see how long that is. Not a 6. That is quite a bit longer than a 6. Let's go ahead and see if we can match them up. Let's try an 8. Yeah, it looks a little short for an 8. We'll double check to make sure our angles are correct again. Angles are correct. We want to use that. Oh, I see what it did, because the incoming angle has to be greater. So if I do that, it's not going to do me any good here. They can't be equal angles. That's a bummer. I knew this was going to be a difficult one to try to connect. It's okay, though. We have the magic of the tool that goes ahead and does all that for us. So we'll take advantage of that one right here. Let's see here. We want this one to be slightly curved. We could probably take advantage of this. That's a 0.7 separation, though. Those are all 0.7s. And that's a pretty good, though. It's going to be a straight. I don't necessarily want that. I'm going to make it work, I swear. There we go. Oh, that was a little more trial and error than I wish to admit to. Those are my final settings in case anybody was curious with them. I was right on the 45 to begin with. I didn't just have the outer radius right. Sigh. Things you'll run into. All right, so I'm going to grab my little gap filler real quickly here. Go ahead and toss that in here. Ta-da! So now what I've done is I've created myself this little up and over, and now it allows us to get down there on that side. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how we can make this a little bit prettier. Right now we have kind of nice track, and it would be nicer if it had like a little bit of arches or something to that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to track options. Now that's going to bring up this page here, which gives you plenty of useful tools here. So I'm going to go ahead and add an option. And we have plenty of options to do here, but we're going to be interested in bridge. So what I like to do here is for the beginning of my bridge, if you go up to bridge options, you have a bunch of different style bridges that you can kind of stick here. And the bridge really is dealing with the top half of the bridge. But one of the cool things you can do here is if I want to make this a little old school, that looks pretty good. That's not too bad. We can actually delete the sleepers if we want. We can even delete the ballast if we want. Like, I think it's pretty wild if that's something you want to do. Come in here and say that we actually have an embankment here. When you do embankment, it creates this kind of a gray zone on it, which makes it look like, you're building it up in order to be able to kind of connect it up to like whatever bridge you've got. So it's super cool here. So if I click on copy, I can actually left click and place that like that and actually add it to the rest of my design here. But what you're probably observing is, what do we do? What have you done? Well, that's not a problem either, because what we can do now is, now that we have our embankment, we can come here, edit this chunk of track. Let's go ahead and close this one. And we'll go ahead and add a new feature, and this time we'll go ahead and add the bridge arch to it. We can also do a trestle if you're into that kind of thing. We'll go ahead and do that today, because why not? And then we can go ahead and add that directly. But when you do that, make sure your embankment is shut off. Otherwise, you're going to get a little bit of a weirdness, to say the least. The other thing we can do, too, is you kind of have the bridge style. We can come in here, we can tweak that so it's a little bit wooden or something along those lines. Now, if I copy this, we can now paste that on the other parts of the track like that as well. And then when we get back down here to this side, we can come back, grab a copy of what we did on the first side, and go ahead and make that our little embankment piece. Let's go ahead and close that sucker. We'll go ahead and grab that. We'll edit. We'll go ahead and copy. We'll go ahead and just like that and paste. Oh my gosh, that's atrocious. We're not going to copy that. We're going to copy that. Track options, copy, bonk. Nice. We'll go ahead and close that menu. You can see there's many, many options there. And again, this is just a super basic example here. I'm not doing anything incredibly sophisticated. I'm just trying to show you how it doesn't take a lot in order to kind of create what you want. This looks a lot more convincing when you look. It's not so bad now. I don't hate it as much as I did a minute ago, but you can see now I've got myself my little connector over there after having to recalculate this more times than I care to admit. And of course, now we have our little kind of going up and over the hill here. As a matter of fact, I like it so much, we're going to have to go give it a try. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and do one of these. Let's get inside. All right, let's do it to it. Hit it. Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Oh, God, what have I done? There's actually a very, very amusing roller coaster track for those of you who are so inclined. That works really, really well. How you doing there, Chief? Gone. So the last thing we're going to take a look at today is we're going to take a look at how you can add signals onto your track here. Now, keep in mind the signaling is purely, I want to call aesthetic. It's not really functional signaling. It requires a little bit of finagling, but it's actually really easy to do. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we're going to exit out of the track. I assume at this point you're fairly comfortable with playing with the track there. Again, the gap filler tool is your pliers and your wrenches in case you need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the Rails doodads page here. And by the way, if you ever need to kind of just paste a certain style onto it, you can actually come in here and actually grab one. Like let's say, for example, I wanted to put like a little railing on this. You can just paste just that part of the style on it. So now you can see we've added a little bit of a railing. Like I said, you can have a lot of fun with these, and they're all available. And you can delete things if you don't need them. Like I said, it's all really, really, really cool. You can also put little junk and stuff on the side of the rail. Like I said, if it's your kind of thing. I've actually seen some people who have a lot of fun with creating the attachments and everything. And here's all your tunnel entries. You can also change the side if you want to of where the little bar is. Remember I mentioned this earlier? I can actually grab this, come over here to this guy and actually paste it on him. And notice how it's switched which side the switch is on. If you want to do that, you could do that. The other method, you could actually come here, press Q, and you could actually change this right here if that's something that you need to do. Like I said, I just think it's wild that they have those kind of functionalities. You can also change the style of the switch if you're so inclined. Oh, man, God, there's so many good choices to pick from. I'm going to pick for this one because why not? And you can see right away that we have this new style. And again, the styles work either way. You can change them any which way that you need to do. Now I can come over here. I want to change this one too. And let's change this one too. Ta-da! Sweet. All right. So we're going to look at now real briefly is going to be signals. There are a couple different types of signals here. You have a signal on a stick, or you could also create, fancy overhead signals. So I'm going to grab the fancy overhead signals here. And I'm going to go ahead and create some signals for our little middle track here. Now what you're going to notice is there's no special snapping or anything along those lines. So when you design these, you have to kind of think about the track itself. So for example, if I want to make these two kind of my outer side, I could place this like here, and one of the things you could do is you can actually come in, hit the F key, and then you could use the control key to kind of make it snap real nice. Like what I'll do is I'll put it there at an angle, hold down control, and then use it to kind of like fix it a little bit. And again, there's so many different ways. You can get very, very, very particular about it, but in the real world, you have the same basic set of problems as far as trying to get this stuff super duper carefully lined up. Perfect. So now that we've done that, let's grab ourselves a couple signals. We'll keep it nice and boring here. We'll grab little stop signs. And hold down the shift left click. Notice it auto snaps. And shift left click again. Notice it auto snaps. Now the way that these work, and I think I'm at an angle here. Let me look. I'm going to deal with it. Too bad. The way the signals work, super simple. Just hold your mouse over and press Q. And then it's going to create this little zone that tells you which is the red zone and which is the yellow zone. When you change the size of this, or you can do one of those silly things like hover signal. When you change the size of these things, you're just changing the orange and the red range of the particular signal. That's it. The other thing you can do too is you can change what source the track is. For example, if I want to make it go the opposite direction, I could do that. I'll just be kind of careful with this. Because I find once you start fitzing with it, you find yourself in a situation where you can't get the track that you wanted to use earlier. You can also switch direction if you need to, but this is perfectly functional for what I needed to do. Let's go ahead and apply this one. Let's grab this one. Oh, not going to do that. Put you right back. You were very fine where you were, sir. All right, cube. Let's see. It looks pretty good. That looks on. Don't need to. Oh no. You're on the wrong track, aren't you? Let's go ahead and fix that real fast. Plus that lovely apply key, and we're just going to be interested in this one right here. We're going to switch which track you on. Perfect. Let's go ahead and hit apply. Nice. So now we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves a little example train to kind of demonstrate what this looks like in action. Actually, I'm going to go put you back. We'll grab this one because I know which direction you're facing. Stick you right here. I'll go ahead and make a copy, and I'm going to go ahead and stick you up here as well. So now if you take a look at my signals, we have a red signal because he's basically right there and he's inside of the red zone. And then we have a yellow signal for this one that's all the way over there. And keep in mind, you have a lot of control over where the signals are. They're trying to scan the track nearby. Now, if you wanted to create yourself a situation like where you have like the little tiny signal to kind of give you the little heads up that it's okay, what I like to do for that one is, you can grab one of these kind of guys, or you can even grab like something like this. You can come right along the side. Let's go ahead and pop it right here because this is where this would be located normally. Right there, and it's a little low. I'm actually going to raise it up a bit. I can barely see that thing. It looks pretty good right there. And now, of course, by pressing the Q key again, you can define this as being the red zone or whatever you want to call it. In this case, I don't think it needs to be quite that big, so I'll make it 2 and 2, hit apply. And now if I look at it, anybody who's in this little zone will go ahead and trigger that light there to go ahead and be the red color. Still kind of sticking to the ground. Get out of the ground. There we go. Delightful. The last thing we're going to take a look at today is how to go ahead and add wires onto your tracks. Now, let's say we want to go ahead and simulate this as being a train that takes power from overhead. Well, the way you're going to do that is if you go to the track options and you go ahead and click on the Add New button, there's this option for overhead wires. Now, the thing you're going to notice with the overhead wires is exactly as you were concerned. It doesn't add the components that actually hold the overhead wires. So now if I make a copy of this, I can go ahead and paste this in a couple places. All you have to do now is you actually have to go ahead and add in the pieces that hold everything up. Luckily, there's a whole set of pages on this dedicated for the purposes of holding those cables up. I just have to go ahead and grab it. There we go. And then all you have to do is pick the one you like. I'll go with this one today. And stick them up where it makes them sense. Now, the nice thing is they snap to the edges of the track. Remember when I told you that was a good idea? So if you need to switch which side of the track on, you can just press the Q key. So I can go ahead and slap one there. I'll make sure you hold down the shift click when you do this. Otherwise, that looks good right there. Let's go ahead and slap one there and go stick one right there. Just like that. And as fast as you can just see, I've now added the required wiring above the track, which will now, finger quote, allow us to draw electricity. This, of course, is a diesel locomotive, so it doesn't actually matter in that sense. So like we saw in the previous video, there's a lot of things you can do and go into a lot of details as far as the way a lot of these components work. Most of it is how do you plan it out, where you're going to put things, and how you want to change. And as I was saying before, don't fail to go over here and bop the Apply All Changes button every once in a while, because without that, that's going to make things a little tricky. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how you can create little switch zones, as well as how you can create tunnels. Enjoy.